Hey, it's Tiger Turnip. Today is not my usual Persona video, but instead a tokusatsu video, more specifically Kamen Rider, and I just had this idea, I wanted to make a video on it, and I promise I'm still working on my Persona video. I just need a bit more time to finish that document, so yeah, I hope I can get that out soon, but in the meantime I hope you enjoyed this video instead. After finishing all the media that has been released for Kamen Rider Geats so far, I have a question. Why did Tycoon, and even Nago for that matter, wait so long before using their final form race buckles, that being Bujin Sword and Fantasy? This can be seen in the Gotthard and Geats Winter movie, as well as Yamato Awakening. Characters like Geats or Kuwagata-Ohger in King-Ohger go directly to the 9 form or his King form respectively, so why don't Tycoon and Nago do this? I think it has to do with guilt. Starting off with Ukiyo Ace, or Kamen Rider Geats, he uses his buckle pretty freely, almost because it's an art piece. He made it himself, and it shows off who he is as a person and what his goals and aspirations have been for generations. He has no guilt tied to it, only pride, and why not show that off? Sakurai Keiwa, or Kamen Rider Tycoon, on the other hand, carries a significant amount of guilt associated with his Bujin Sword buckle. This guilt stems from having Tsumuri create the buckle specifically to kill another rider, Buffa, in an act of vengeance for his sister's death, which was more or less a deliberate act of murder. The buckle's announcement, when set onto the driver, highlights its lethal intent. This weapon, designed for killing, starkly contrasts with Keiwa's strong moral compass and aspirations to become a police officer. It symbolizes a dark and uncharacteristic period in his life, namely when he led a crime ring, an organization he would typically strive to dismantle. This brief, yet total 180 from his principles, has definitely left a lasting impact on Keiwa, reminding him of a time when he acted against everything that he stands for. Kurama Neon, or Kamen Rider Nago, was a little more difficult to think about, but it became pretty clear that her guilt definitely stems from herself, causing numerous existential crises throughout the series. The only reason Neon was born, or rather created, was because her predecessor, Kurama Akari, was kidnapped by another rider participating in the Dezagura at the time, and she was held for ransom, a situation nearly identical to what Neon later faced. Unlike Neon, Akari didn't survive, placing immense grief and trauma on the Kurama family as a whole, leading to Kosei wanting to create a new daughter in place of his old one, for reasons I'll explain shortly. This time around, Kosei was able to save his daughter, but the success was tainted by the loss of Akari. Even before Neon gained the fantasy buckle, she struggled with feelings of unworthiness, never feeling loved by her family and simply acting as a means to an end. While her mother cared, it was to an extreme. Despite forgetting the events that happened 11 years prior, she still subconsciously feared for the safety of her daughter, rarely letting her leave the house and having Neon act as one of the dolls on her shelf. Her father was incapable of love. It died with Akari, and just needed Neon to continue their legacy. The burden of knowing she will always be number 2 weighs heavily on her, as well as the knowledge that that same fantasy buckle that saved Neon could have saved Akari instead, which intensifies her guilt and feelings of undeserved life. Azuma Michinaga, or Kamen Rider Buffa, had the most recent final form, Plausible Rage, which was introduced in the film Kamen Rider Geats, Yamato Awakening. This buckle serves as both a trophy and a reminder of his struggle to overcome his Yamato side. Despite its recent introduction and limited use throughout the movie, its significance is clear. While, yes, it does embody his desire to conquer his dark nature, as the only reason he obtained this buckle was through his desire to stay human reaching Geats, but it also constantly reminds him of that part of himself, the part of him that was spiteful to everyone around him. This is his guilt, and the duality of it might cause him to hesitate when using the Plausible Rage buckle in the future, although I'm unsure if there will be more Geats media. Also, considering how far the zombie buckle has carried him, essentially granting him near invincibility, it wouldn't be too out of the ballpark for him to be using that before Plausible Rage. To be fair, most of this probably stems from the fact that Toei needs to properly power scale and have the heroes get beat up so they can rise up again and make it more interesting, but honestly, it's more fun to think of it this way. Also, about 90% of this is just a headcanon. I don't know how any of the characters feel, I don't know what the writers were intending, and this is my take on the matter, so take these words with a grain of salt. That's all for today, and thanks for watching. Bye!